Hey, it's back to school time, and welcome to today's episode of Total Health Live. I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelmann, and with me is noted nutritionist to the stars, Monika Klein.
Hi, everyone. Hi. I'm glad we're back. We missed a week last week. Unfortunately, it was sort of a sudden thing, but here we're back.
And suddenly we're back.
And suddenly we are back. So,
what's cooking?
The summer is winding down. It's actually been feeling kind of cool-ish around here the last few days, which is such a blessing.
It is, particularly the humidity. The humidity's down here. We had window unit air conditioners here, and we actually did not have to turn them on for a couple of days, which I was grateful for.
Yeah, I haven't had my fans on, but the humidity reading on my iPhone said it's high humidity. Does not feel high humidity at all.
It's because the temperature is lower.
It feels like fall-like, but I know that's just going to last a little while, and then we'll have some more summer, and then some more summer, and then maybe fall, November.
Yeah, we've had 80s and 90s in October, so that's I know not to take these things out.
Oh yeah, I mean even in December, believe me.
All right. I believe you.
Believe me. So what have we got?
We got belief, we got facts, we got all kinds of things.
Opinions?
Let's see. Opinions. We have best advice available. I was trying to open up the document for today. Yeah. Okay. So your first topic you wanted to tackle today was vaccine requirements, which I think is an interesting one.
Many hospitals, certainly the hospital that I was just visiting, required a vaccination, card, both shots, or
wait, is that for visitors or for staff or both?
Visitors. Okay. Oh, absolutely for staff. I mean, yeah. I think it wasn't a requirement, but I think it now is a requirement for a vaccine, especially in a hospital acute care. I think it probably is, but
it's varying from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, because I know there's some hospitals in the South and in the like in Tennessee and Missouri and others where the administrators actually are not forcing staff to get vaccinated.
Yeah, so definitely California is definitely LA County is, but but this was in Ventura County where I had to show a vaccination card. So I quickly got a vaccination, my second vaccination, in order to go into the hospital. And so, yeah, it was either a vaccination card or a 72-hour test, within the last 72 hours, which it takes about 72 hours to get the results. So, yeah, so that is definitely happening.
Yeah, it's interesting because the requirements are varying from place to place, and there's a lot of controversy over it. But the interesting thing is, if you have a private business or an institution or something where you set the rules, it's not a public space. And so, it can vary from place to place. But I mean, if you have a business and you say, hey, I want you all vaccinated, or don't show up to the office, you can give people the opportunity to work remotely. But I've seen in a couple of cases, they're actually paying people less money who are working remotely.
Really? Wow, that's discrimination.
It's very controversial at this point.
Yeah, is.
But the thing is, there's some businesses which actually you need to show up to the business. And this has been a controversy.
Well, definitely for example, retail. Well, not all retail, but
with the airlines, you can't have a customer service rep who's interfacing with passengers working remotely when they have to be at the ticket counter. And it's interesting to see that it's Delta Airlines, American Airlines. I don't know the other one. There's maybe one other who are not requiring their pilots, flight attendants, and other workers to be vaccinated. Whereas United, it's mandatory to be able to work for United Airlines. So that was kind of
all the other international airlines are faring.
I don't know, but that would be interesting, like Dubai Air and all these others, Air France.
Well, and many. I mean.
Yeah. So a lot of this stuff is up.
Lufthansa.
I like Lufthansa actually. It's a little austere on the inside of the cabin, but man, I had great service. So
efficiency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking back to school now. In fact, this is interesting. I just want to give you an aside because we went up to LA County for the birthday party for
A family member,
my
right?
wife, yeah, and the niece was turning 6 years old, and we had forgotten that LA County had a mandatory mask rule, and we're going into a store to buy some wrapping paper and an additional gift for the little one. And it was like, oh no, do you have a mask? I was the only one with a mask, but we had luckily left a couple of them in the car in the glove compartment
I
for
would think you
emergencies.
would. I mean, it's still so up in the air. I mean, I have
Yeah.
masks everywhere. I have
Oh no,
masks.
I always keep one in my pocket, even when I'm going for a walk, because I don't
Yeah,
know, what's going to happen next. Maybe I pop into a store to pick up something on the way home. It doesn't,
exactly. So in San Diego County, not required.
not at this
Uh-huh.
point, but it's
Yeah.
interesting but we see more and more people masking up, even those who are vaccinated, and I think it's just a concern about spreading the Delta. And so, because man, that little sucker is mutating, and I think we're looking at the Theta variant is coming next, or there's the longer that little thing runs around in a large population, the higher the probability is of additional mutations. So that's just the nature of virology. So
Yeah, so that is yeah, and it's not happening. I mean, I did talk to the nursing staff, and
mhm.
it's basically very stable. It's
Yeah.
it went up, and now it's just stable and falling off again. So it sort of has had its day in the sun, shall we say?
It really varies county by county, though. Are there 58 counties in California? Because I saw a logo that said something about, get ready, all 58, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, some of that is hype. It really is hype. But most of the people, it's very rare that it's people who have been vaccinated that have gotten it, the
Yeah.
outbreak or whatever they're calling it.
You get it through breakthrough infections.
Breakthrough,
Actually,
breakthrough.
Gabriel Iglesias, who's the Fluffy, the comedian, up in
Oh,
Long
I
Beach.
remember it. Fluffy. Why Fluffy?
Well, they call it his mother nicknamed him Fluffy because he was always concerned. He says, "Mom, am I fat?" And she would say, "No, hijo,
You're
you're
Fluffy.
just fluffy." So that was his nickname that stuck. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
I know who he is.
he had a breakthrough infection, but he said here's the thing. It lasted like 24 hours. He had some sniffles, a sore throat. He had bad headache, and he woke up the next day feeling fine. But he
Yeah,
did have a
so
breakthrough infection.
it's less severe.
Less
Yes,
severe, fewer hospitalizations, fewer deaths.
I have someone who had Johnson and Johnson, and they had it too.
Yeah. Well,
This
J&J,
breakthrough.
I think, was a 60% efficacy, allegedly. You never know. It's like the
Yeah.
Janssen and some of the others, where you're talking about contraindications and things. There are different. Some people get anaphylactic reactions, and the great majority of people don't.
Mhm.
Um,
I mean, I had somewhat of an anaphylactic in my first shot.
mhm.
So
Well, how
these
long did
things
it take
happen.
you to recover from that, though?
Well, it was we took action to,
Hmm.
prevent it. And some of it was anxiety related. So, I mean, how much is I mean, it made me well, it started seizing. I expected nothing. I expected, because you don't hear a lot of reactions right after. I really seldom hear that. When I started feeling something in the back of my throat and, my sinus area, I got you know, a little nervous about that. But, I've had sort of a little bit of things like that, the lightheadedness,
Hmm.
um, because I had a long span in between both vaccinations, both
Hmm.
both shots. So I had a little bit of reaction, maybe 4 or 5 times, but not the anaphylactic like
Hmm.
reaction again. But yeah, it was
How far?
scary.
What do you mean, 4 or 5 times? I was trying to figure out what the four or
No,
five
four or
times.
five times with the lightheadedness, that reaction,
Ah, okay.
specific
Yeah, yeah,
reaction. Yeah.
yeah. I had brain fog after the first one, and then I had the sore arm, but then nothing
Yeah.
in the second
Sore
one.
arm is very common. You expect that. That happens with a lot of things,
Hey,
but
this was the first one I've ever gotten in 63 years, so I was like, I don't know what to expect.
yeah, but no, I'm saying any kind of shot, even if
Yeah.
there's a blood draw, that can, cause some
Mm.
pain in your arm as well. So, yeah. So anyway, it is what
And
it is.
it is
So
what it
the back to school situation, and I'm not really personally touched by this. I mean, I do
I
have
am
clients
touched
who
by
are
it with my stepson. Yeah.
teachers, So what's your story?
Well, the story is the kids are going back next week, and at least here in
Mhm,
Coronado and San Diego
mhm.
County, and all the students will be masked and the teachers will be masked. And those who don't want to mask their kids are sending them to private school or doing, I don't even know if they're offering the Zoom school thing. Some people are just taking
Really?
their kids out of school or in maybe
Doing
homeschooling.
homeschooling? Homeschooling,
Some are
yeah.
homeschooling. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
like freedom. So I'm not really sure why you would do that since it's such a great school system in terms of its educational standards. But then again, for some people, the piece
Well,
of
at least
cloth,
there are choices. At least there are choices.
there are choices, but you're going to pay more to do that. And so the interesting thing about it, though, is that, given a choice, the redhead will take going to school with a mask than staying at home on the Zoom. So he wants that interaction. So.
Yeah, so that's interesting. We don't really know about the Zoom accessibility. I thought that was part of the plan, the overall plan
There
to
might still be that option might
education.
still be available, but I don't know how many are actually going to take them up on that.
Yeah, I mean, kids need to be in not sitting in front of a computer all the time. I mean,
Yeah,
we
we had
nobody
issues.
does. Nobody
We,
does.
we had issues with screen time. Yeah, because if you're doing Zoom school all day and then you're going to do
Games,
video games and TV and your phone, I mean, it becomes the point where you're a
virtual
teenager.
reality.
Well, yeah, if your child is doing maybe 8 or 9 hours a day on screen time, it's a little bit much. I mean, it's actually way too much. So anyway, but as far as schools go, some schools, I mean, there are places like in Texas, which is a little unusual, where some angry parents have actually in one situation they actually ripped the mask off of a teacher, and they're
Well,
being
yeah,
prosecuted because I
right.
mean you don't assault somebody basically, no matter how angry you might be. So
So yeah, there's we hear about Texas and Florida and being a little
those are
bit,
the biggies. Yeah, they're
yeah.
40% of all hospitalizations are in Texas and Florida right now. So. Um,
Yeah, so it's like it's managing a new terrain almost every minute, minute by minute, right?
Well, it's almost like you're approaching sort of like an almost normal, new normal, or a new almost normal.
New,
So,
new, 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 new
new, new,
normal.
new, new,
Like
new,
there's a
new,
new normal, and then there's another new normal, and then another new normal, and it's a
and then
new
there's
old
the
normal.
nanu new normal.
There's an old new old normal.
All right, so I think we've beaten that normal into the ground.
Yeah, that's normally what we do.
Beat the normal things into the ground. All right, so other things that you want to touch base with here.
There was another point. What was the last final
Oh,
point?
procedures, other procedures that are contraindicated? What are the
Oh, yeah,
procedures?
I wanted to share that. This people might not know that. I was supposed to get a cortisone injection in my foot,
Oh,
um, and I the day of I thought, well, I'm just going to check this because I just had my shot like 4 days before. So sure
mhm,
enough, the orthopedic the Association of Orthopedic Surgeons recommend wait for 14 days.
mm,
So I would recommend you check if you're about to have a procedure, check the timing of that with your with your COVID shot, with your vaccination. So just make sure. I mean, maybe there's nothing going to be problematic there, but check it out. You might want to wait.
I'd like to figure out what the underlying mechanism is for that, but we don't have enough time for that. So
Yeah, I mean, I read a little bit of it, but I thought, okay, I just err on the side of caution and just not
Mhm,
just wait.
mhm. So let me see. Oh no, that's all the kinds of craziness there. We talked about PEG, the polyethylene glycine, which is an additive in the mRNA vaccines. There's a Janssen vaccine that's out there now too. That is
Yeah,
considered to be an alternative. If you can't do the mRNA like the Moderna or Pfizer, you can do the Janssen, or for
well,
that matter, the J&J. So,
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
so anything else on that?
No, I
Um,
think we're ready for Q&A
we're ready.
today.
Yay! I'm so excited now.
Yay, Q&A.
Hey, So, Mary from the adopted home state of our current occupant of the White House, Mary from Wilmington, Delaware
Well,
asks.
I've been there.
I've
Lovely
been there
little
too.
place. Yes.
I've been there too. I've also been to the Christiana Mall on the way up
I have
from
not.
DC to New York City.
I'm sure you have. You've done that route several times.
Many times. Anyway, so Mary from Wilmington asks, she says, it's almost fall, and I always feel more focused at this time of the year, especially when it comes to losing those extra summer pounds. Is this a good time of the year to lose weight?
I would say yes. As we near the change of seasons, usually spring and fall, it's always a good time to shed, detoxify. As we were just saying, here in Southern California, we're having a little bit of a cool trend for a few days. But where you are is probably starting to cool down and probably will be in September. So it is a really good time to cleanse and start cleaning up your diet and preparing for the winter. And, over the years in my, clinical work and certainly in my weight loss work, this has been a big time. September, October, November, pre-holiday season. It's not as much of an impetus now. Well, we don't know what the future is going to hold, but certainly we're not gathering and showing off as much as we did, and certainly gym clothes and loungewear is the thing that people are focusing on, unfortunately. So you can hide a lot with that kind of clothing.
Meaning the baggy sweats and sweatshirts.
Baggy sweats. But I would encourage you to dress up as much as possible. When you go out, don't succumb to this comfort is the only mandate, and you can get away with that. No, make an effort. So anyway, back to now is the good time. Now would be a good time for you to consider a detox or a weight loss program for sure. And in the summertime, you're we're mostly letting go of caution and just doing whatever we want, and the barbecues and the parties. But again, it's a little more, it's a little different this year and as it was last year. So
you know what's different about this year too? The pumpkin spice lattes have appeared at Dunkin' in August.
Are they any good at Dunkin' Donuts?
I don't know. I haven't had them, but I thought that was very interesting that they kind of
that tell you?
Pushed fall. I mean, well, people are ready to say that the summer is already over, or they want something sweet and satisfying, and they want to sugar themselves up. And the pumpkin spice latte is very popular with some folks.
Yeah, pumpkin. I mean, I don't know. Is it at Starbucks yet?
I'm sure it might be too. Oh, and by the way, Mary, I feel sorry for you because it is currently 83 degrees and feels like 87 in Wilmington because there's 63% humidity. So I realize you're far less fall-like than we are here in Southern California. So.
But if you're planning, I mean, it sounds like you haven't embarked on anything yet, and you're planning to start something in September. I'm planning to start a detox program at the beginning of September myself. I did it last year, and I felt really great. It's an Ayurvedic cleanse, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
seasonality is interesting because when I studied and practiced Chinese or traditional Chinese medicine, we always used to say at the bare minimum, you should get your meridians checked out once every 90 days, with a change of each season, because your body is about to adapt into something new. So
get those meridians checked.
Meridians, baby.
Tune up. Yeah. And it's very classically Ayurveda, and, eat with the seasons, eat with the, nature around you. So then what you do is you start gravitating, as the fall comes, you start gravitating to things like pumpkin and things like the root vegetables, because that's when the harvest starts. Squash. Yes. Where is my Big Chewy? Big Chewy's gone. In fact, we can't even find any Big Chewy's. For those of you who don't know, Big Chewy was our mascot. It's he was, I believe he was he.
You think it was a he?
could be a she. I'm not. But anyway, it's a butternut squash, and 2 weeks in a row, or like probably 2 or 3 weeks in a row, we've been looking at butternut squash in the stores to buy, and there aren't any. So hopefully they'll come back.
There's some big problems with distribution in the food
right now. Yeah, really.
Trucking and everything else, and workers getting sick, and the availability of workers, et cetera, et cetera.
But I think some other squash squashes are available.
Butternut,
like
butternut squash.
Butternut. Well, that's what we're talking about. Butternut.
Okay. Spaghetti squash.
There's spaghetti squash. I think so.
Acorn squash.
Acorn squash.
We used to love acorn
squash.
squash.
And certainly zucchini and is considered a squash too. Yeah. So yeah, I encourage you to go that route, Mary. You're headed in the right direction.
Go, Mary.
Go, Mary, go.
You go, girl. Up to Michigan. We're heading further north. Vance from Detroit asks, he says, I've got a family history of diabetes. I just went to the doctor, and she says that my blood sugar and cholesterol are getting higher than they should. Scared the crap out of me. Where do I begin? I already know that I have high pressure.
Well, where do you begin? You begin in the kitchen for sure. You begin in the kitchen for sure. And so you want to get rid of all the sugary foods and the snacky foods and the processed foods. If you can't do it all at once, just do it gradually. But I tell you, it's better just to do it all at once. Just, do a clearing of your kitchen and your cupboards and your pantry, and just start. Yeah, you were going to say something.
I was going to say something because I think one of the steps that we had done when trying to control blood sugar and everything else like that was simply to, boom, eliminate all desserts from the house. So they weren't even available. And I think you're getting to that when you're talking about the snack foods and things like that. Just clear out
processed foods, because people have an idea it's just sugar, but it's not just sugar. It's a lot of processed foods will elevate your blood sugar pretty quickly, elevate your glucose pretty quickly. So, cold turkey is good. Work with someone, a diabetic educator or a nutritionist, a clinical nutritionist like myself. Work with someone who can guide you and handhold you. And I'm not sure if you're, it sounds like you're not on medication yet. So it would be better if you don't go that, if you don't have to do that, change it with diet. This is a lifestyle disease.
Yeah, I think you probably have some issues with insulin and your sensitivity is an issue. So, I mean, the high blood pressure thing, I'm just wondering, Vance, how high is it? Is it something that needs to be treated clinically? Does it come and go? I know that when I've monitored myself and I've monitored other patients, you can take 3 different blood pressures at different times of the day and you get 3 different results. Just
even
using
within
the same
a span of 10 minutes. Even within
but that's a problem because then anyway, it's a long story about the brachial artery. So it sends a signal to the brain and creates something where it's actually higher than it should be. So anywho.
Or actually what I see is sometimes it usually goes slower because you do a reading, then you slow down, take a few deep breaths and calm your system down, and it should help you lower your blood pressure a little bit with the next reading. Yeah.
I think when I went to the doctor's office, I used to go up 4 flights of stairs rather than take the elevator. And so my blood pressure reading was always high. And then 20 minutes later, it was okay.
Yeah, exactly. Just know that when you eat, your blood pressure is going to be higher. When you exercise, your blood pressure is going to be higher. So when you
eat, your temperature will be here after you eat. Maybe a bunch of carbs or so.
During or after eating. So just make sure. But start with, getting fresh fruits and vegetables, and just get rid of the processed. That's your first step. Get rid of the processed food. And also, if you're drinking sodas, number one, that's the number one thing you should get rid of.
Even the diet sodas, because they're very acidic.
Yeah, acidic, and they just mess with your blood sugar. They totally mess with your blood sugar, and your liver is working overtime.
Get off them sodas, Vance. It will mess you up big time.
Yeah.
And I would say also just be careful when fruits and vegetables are good, but be careful of not overdoing fruits. I've had more than one friend who used to eat anywhere between 2 to 3 pounds of cherries at a sitting. And I'm certain that she and he both probably have blood sugar issues at this point in their life.
So
Um,
rule of thumb is 6 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables, usually a cup. So 2 of them should be fruit and the rest
yeah.
vegetable.
Otherwise, you're going to, I mean, because I know people would say, well, fruit, it's good for you.
Mhm.
And these are the same people who became diabetic, insulin dependent diabetics. And it was like, wow, because one of the problems was they didn't eat desserts, but they ate tons of fruit. And
So
so,
yeah, so if you're eating Twinkies or fruit,
yeah.
if it's double serving of a fruit versus like a package or 2 of Twinkies, go with a double serving. I mean, sort of like gradually work yourself into this new way of eating. But yeah, and then you modify as you go.
But
And
you
it
said
sounds like
cold, but you said cold turkey earlier, and I really do like cold turkey, especially with a little mayo and some
some people can do
mustard.
cold turkey, some people can't. So it really depends on you and your personality and your lifestyle, like your life.
So is it better to have the hot turkey sandwich or the cold turkey sandwich?
And so either way is fine. But when I
Either
talk
way
about
works.
lifestyle,
Lifestyle.
lifestyle disease, it means it actually gives you, it's your lifestyle that's causing the disease, usually your diet and maybe your stress level, lack of activity, lack of exercise. But start in the kitchen. And the beauty of it being a lifestyle issue is that you can change it. You have control. It's not as if it's a genetic, well, it is a family issue for you, but you can control it. So good luck with that. Vance, right?
It's
Vance from
Vance.
Detroit.
Hey, advance maybe some Vance. You could dance. Maybe get some more exercise in there too. That's helpful. But as
Vance
Monika,
can dance, and maybe you
Vance
do.
can dance in Detroit. Motown.
Motown
Hey, so
sound.
off. Oh, now we're getting closer to home here, which is Melanie from Tucson, Arizona. She says, I've been dealing with a lot of family stress. Welcome to the club. Every
Mm-hmm.
time I attempt to get started on my healthy diet, I get pulled back into the drama of it all. How can I make myself more of a priority, or how can I make myself more of a priority without being too selfish?
Mm-hmm.
Self care,
Well,
self care.
don't think of yourself taking care of yourself as selfish at all. It sounds like you're involved in your family situation,
I don't know if there are health issues in the family, or maybe you are taking care of elderly parents, or kids are sick, or there's turmoil of some sort there. But I would say that self care enables you to be in a position energetically and emotionally so that you can take care of other people better. And if you sacrifice yourself, my dad used to say, he said that don't be so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good.
that's good.
So I always love that.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's ongoing because you said every time you try something, you get pulled back into whatever's happening with your family. So if that's the case, if it's not sort of an acute situation where it's like very intense and then it hopefully will dissipate, it sounds like it's ongoing. So you absolutely must take time for you. Absolutely. It is the medicine for you. That's medicine for you. That's medicine for everyone in this family scenario. I mean, everyone needs to do that. Not just you, but you don't have to enforce anybody else to do it. You just have to take the time for you. And
Hmm.
it could be something small, but something that feels nurturing and nourishing, or you feel like you have energy after you do that particular thing, whether it's a walk around the block or just a nap or a meditation or going shopping to the outlet mall, whatever it is.
Or maybe a green smoothie to start your day.
Green smoothie or a pumpkin spice latte, whatever,
We're back. We're,
whatever.
we're promoting pumpkin spice today because it feels like fall in Southern
It does
California.
feel like fall. And I remember last year I didn't have a pumpkin spice latte at all until like in December. Maybe it was January. and I got, I think, the last one that was Starbucks was making.
The last one.
Yeah, so it was just nice. There's something comforting about the pumpkin and the spices. There's such warming spices, and we can talk about that today, but maybe next week we'll be saying spice, warm, please, no.
Attention, we have one spiced latte left. One.
That was the intercom for the entire
That's the
region.
intercom for the Starbucks.
For the entire region.
For the region of Southern California.
Monica, it has your name on it.
There's a latte with your name on it, and it says Monika.
There was a great latte drink that they had a couple of years ago, and it was a cinnamon latte, and it was just so wonderful. I don't have lattes very often, but every once in a while I like to have it, and it was just so, again, that cinnamon spice is so warming and healing.
Well, that cinnamon helps to modulate your blood sugar too, which I think.
Yeah, it's really very much a blood sugar helper.
So hopefully, Melanie, you'll take good care of yourself so you can be good for everybody else too. And little things can be very good. Maybe
just
you avoid
get it out of your mind that it's selfish to take care of yourself. Please,
yeah, no.
Please don't stop it.
Don't stop it. Don't stop
that way of thinking. I think it's ingrained culturally, especially for women. And I have worked most of my career trying to help women, let go of that thinking, that way of thinking, because it's not so. It's not so. You are stronger and better if you're healthier yourself. And so I think it's been said.
So, Melanie, take good care of yourself.
Melanie,
and if you have any additional questions, just drop them in below this video, or we have there's the Coaching for Health Facebook page where you can also message. I was just thinking also the Coaching for Health website where you can send Monika a message. And we do have the Total Health Live group, but you have to ask to join the group.
Please ask.
Please ask.
And you shall receive.
We're there because we care. Okay, so hey, where's Walnut Creek? I've heard of it.
That is in Northern California in the Bay Area.
Northern. Okay. Well, we have Audrey from Walnut Creek. She says, I suffer from several autoimmune conditions, including Hashimoto's and rheumatoid arthritis. I'm hoping to get some of the inflammation down so I can get out of pain. Do you have any information about any particular foods that might help me?
Well, definitely with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, you want to stay away from a lot of raw green foods like spinach and chard and kale in your smoothies. That can affect your thyroid function. But you can cook them. You can cook them and eat them all you want. So have these wonderful fruits and vegetables, and as I just mentioned before, not mostly vegetables and some fruit. With regards to rheumatoid arthritis, you want to have but both of them actually, anti-inflammatory focus on the diet, on the foods that you're choosing. So you want to choose things like fruits and vegetables. They're anti-inflammatory. Meats, red meats are a little more inflammatory. Fish, things, fish oil, supplements that'll help you decrease some of that inflammation will be beneficial. Stay away from nightshades. And a lot of this you might know, especially with the rheumatoid arthritis. Hopefully you've spoken to a rheumatologist. Well, I'm sure you've spoken to a rheumatologist and gotten some advice. But yeah, definitely you want to stay away. Focus on an anti-inflammatory diet.
I do like I guess it is an Ayurvedic tea that my wife's Dia, her aunt, had recommended, which was the ginger, turmeric, and it's a little bit of cinnamon, by the way. And
all three of those spices are great for
all three together make a great tea, and that seems to work really well for chronic inflammation. I will say too that there are a lot of things that you can do with food and herbs and natural remedies that eliminate or reduce the need for prescription drugs or over-the-counter medications. And I think with food as your medicine, you're going to come out at the other end feeling a whole lot better and less dependent upon a prescription pad.
I've worked with many people that have had autoimmune diseases, and specifically the two that you have. And when we start working on the diet, it's really quite amazing. A lot of their pain dissipates. And, whether we add some supplements, the fish oil is really essential, or some vitamin C as well, magnesium, anything to kind of help the body stabilize and be less constricted. But food is really, that's where it's at, changing your diet. And we can certainly do that and work together. If you'd like to get the help and want some more information, please let us know.
Yeah, Audrey, at the very least, you can send an email message to monika@coachingforhealth.com and get on her mailing list. You might get some more information from the newsletters that she sends out.
Yes.
Let me see here. I think hopefully we've addressed that. But if you have any other questions, please, as always, drop them in below the video, because we do get pinged and we are alerted to any of you who leave comments.
Yeah.
Oh, now we bounce over to the other end of the country. Dan from Boston. Boston. I'm Dan, your cousin from Boston. I spent a lot of time in Boston. So Dan asks, is bread as bad as everybody says? I love my sandwiches and so forth. Can't I eat them? Wait, can't I eat? I guess, yeah. Dan's just asking if instead eat sandwiches. Everybody tells them that bad is bread.
I was
bad,
just
no, bread is bad. Bad is bread.
And so, maybe the gluten has an issue, might have an issue for Audrey, with some of the inflammation. But, I was with from John Diard. He's a chiropractor, Dr. John Diard. He's a chiropractor and Ayurvedic practitioner in Colorado, and he's been doing this for years and years and years. And he wrote a book called Eat Wheat in the last 2 or 3 years. Because it really, what he's saying is that it's not about the wheat or the gluten. It's about our ability. We've reduced our ability to even break down these harsher grains, these grains that require much, like a very robust digestive system. So that's one of his, beliefs, and I tend to agree with him, and certainly eating in the season and eating things like that more in the fall when your digestive system is ready for those kinds of foods. So and it's not a problem for most people. Now, if you eat it and you don't feel well, you need to start looking at your digestive ability and start addressing that and seeing how you can make it stronger. What can you do to make it stronger? Whether it's supplementation, whether you have other issues. There's various tests to see what's going on with your digestive concern. I mean, Genova has a test for specifically, they're a lab that you can get testing through for various things through your provider, through your physician, usually a functional provider, functional medicine provider. So that
like leaky gut, for example.
Yeah, leaky gut or any parasitic involvement or any dysbiosis, which is a sort of an imbalance in your bacteria or gut bacteria. So, I mean, if you want to dig a little bit more, and we're not even saying that about you, Dan, because it sounds like you enjoy your sandwiches. And
yeah, I don't know that you have any bad reactions. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you have any bad reactions. You're asking the question: is bread as bad as everybody says? And I mean, as long as you're not getting bad reactions. I mean, I know, for example, there's certain breads I can eat and other breads that I cannot eat. And so, for example, if I get Dave's Killer bread, like all organic with seeds and all kinds of stuff in there, no problem digesting it whatsoever. But if I get some more commercially prepared things like white bleached flour or something like that, it doesn't go very well. So
Yeah, and it might not even be the grain, it's the processing, it's the
yeah,
other stuff that they're adding in there that may be a problem. But if you don't have a problem, good for you. If you're denying that you have a problem, well, then you might want to look at how you can improve your digestion.
that might have been my mom, because my mom, I remember we went to an Italian restaurant, I think about a year or two before she passed away, and when she was had a little bit of dementia, and she started eating bread, and but then she kept asking for the bread because she didn't believe that she'd eaten the bread, and so we give her a roll, and she was like, it wasn't just I want bread, it was I need bread, and it was I
Well,
need
throat.
bread.
Did she say
Yeah,
broat?
no, she said bread because I guess she had enough cells of recognition that she knew she was in an English speaking group. But it was interesting to see how enthusiastic she was about her bread. So,
Well, it could have been from her childhood too, because I'm
oh
sure she
yeah,
ate a lot of bread
oh
growing
yeah.
up in Germany. So,
Hey,
yeah,
best bread in the world I ever had, well, aside from France and Italy,
yeah, yeah.
was the German bread that was delivered to the doorstep of my uncle's place in Nuremberg Rickersdorf, just outside of Nuremberg. Every morning, fresh bread came to the door. It was like,
Yeah, I mean, people
wow.
say that all the time, the bread isn't like it is in Europe, and
No.
so yeah, you have to get the right kind of bread and get, unprocessed, the least processed bread as possible. And yeah, so we all grew up with bread, but some grew up with Wonder Bread and some grew up with hearty, dark European
Wasn't it
bread.
great? They Wonder Bread at one point had the little 12 different colored balloons on the white wrapper, and it said helps build strong bodies 12 ways. And then they went down to 8, and then they took away that whole saying whatsoever because of all the different studies that came out saying that this bleached white flour wasn't really good for you.
My
It was
mother would never buy it. My mother would
yeah,
never buy it. And
yeah.
yet, oh, I'm going to school and they're having white bread. And oh, please have,
Yeah,
I
I want
want the
that. I
white
want what
bread.
everybody else is eating.
Yeah. Yes, Harry met Sally.
She's right. Oh God, I'll have what she's had. So Dan, hopefully that helps you. I mean, bread can be as good. I mean, even a sprouted grain bread is a nice
Yeah.
alternative
Yeah,
too.
like an
So
Ezekiel bread.
yeah, exactly. Um, Denise, I don't know where you're from, but Denise from somewhere
Oh,
is asking. I'm not sure where she's from.
Denise is from everywhere.
I'm assuming you're from the United States, but it could be Canada, it could be the UK.
Could be
The fact
anywhere.
that you're asking the question in English tells me that you're at least familiar with the language. So Denise from somewhere, I have a lot of acid in my stomach. My doc just diagnosed it as gastritis. Is there anything I can do to feel better?
Well, stop eating foods that will cause that gastritis. It may be the food, it may be how you're eating, it may be, it could be all sorts of things. It sounds like, you have a diagnosis. So a gastritis is sort of a vague thing of burning,
It's
vague,
inflammation of your stomach. I mean,
yeah.
just
Yeah. So it's sort of not as we don't really know why you have it or
mhm.
how it's derived for you. But anyway, you want to eat non-acid type food, anti-inflammatory food, which we discussed earlier. Fruits and vegetables. Stay away from red meat as much as possible. Certainly, alcohol, coffee, chocolate. These are things that will cause some burning for you or the inflammation within your stomach area.
And you may
So
have some sensitivities too, because I know for a fact with me, if I have too many peppers, which are basically part of the nightshade family, or tomatoes, that'll start to bother my stomach. So sometimes you want to
mhm,
do a
mhm.
modified elimination diet, which Monica can talk about a little bit.
Yeah, so yeah, modified elimination diet. So focusing on fruits and vegetables and maybe some rice, which is slightly well, it's non-allergenic for most people, and some of the non-gluten grains and fish, fish or seafood would be beneficial to start that, and see what happens. See what happens when you're eating that way, and of course, taking out all the things I just mentioned. We just mentioned, tomatoes and sometimes certainly oranges and lemons, even though they are acidic, they actually create more alkalinity in the body, but they initially are acidic when you eat
And,
them.
and it wouldn't hurt to get a panel and figure out what food sensitivities you have too, because I know
That would be good.
one of my friends is extremely sensitive to lemons, but not to oranges. It's a really
Yeah,
interesting
totally different
phenomenon.
animal.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Totally different animal. It's like
totally-
it's not oranges to apples. Well, it's lemons to oranges too. They're
lemons to
totally different.
orange and forget
Yeah.
about the grapefruit. So
Forget about the grapefruit. Yeah. Well, I mean, grapefruit can be good for a lot of people. A lot of people love grapefruit. It's
yeah,
so
but then again, it also can interfere with some medications. Was it naringinin or so that sometimes
Well,
interferes with it too?
I think it's blood pressure medication.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
the naringinin in the grapefruit can interfere with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to,
So
it's interesting. It does show you that foods can be very powerful in terms of their effect on the body. So
and um, apple cider vinegar too. Well, you could test it out. See,
mhm.
just a little bit in some water, like a half a teaspoon in the water. If it doesn't irritate you, you could try a half a teaspoon or a full teaspoon, and also just keep adding to about 1 or 2 tablespoons, probably the max, but you want to dilute it. And that could actually have an alkalizing effect for you too, and might be beneficial, but be very careful and be very slow in trying that out as a test. But if you have
Mhm.
immediate burning, stop. Don't even continue. You should not feel any discomfort when you eat, and so if you are eating certain foods and you're feeling the gastritis right away, or within a short period after that, then that's an indicator. Take it out of your diet for a while, and when you reintroduce foods back, you've done this modified diet for maybe a week or two. When you start bringing in new foods, just bring one at a time, so you'll
Yep.
know what's doing what is possibly irritating you, and what is fine for you.
Yeah, that's a very important thing to remember too, because if you try to do too many at once, it's just like you used to say, it was like hash. You have all these different things going on, and you may think it's one thing when it turns out to be another. And then
Yeah.
that's why you just want to gradually add things in.
That's what I do a lot with my clients. I have them do food diaries, and it becomes very, like, some people just get into it. They just love it and they continue doing it. But it can be very laborious for some. But I
Mhm.
encourage doing it, because when you come in on a weekly basis and I see what you've eaten, then we can sort of like play detectives and find out, oh, well, you have the symptom, but let's see what you did. Could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be what you did yesterday? The day before. So sometimes there's a slower
Yeah.
reaction to a food item. So, yeah. And if you want to get to the root cause of this, I would also, recommend you do a food diary as well, and
Mhm.
work with someone to help you if you're
Absolutely. And I
confused
think,
about this. Yeah.
yeah, because we often think that we know exactly what's going on, and the reality is sometimes it takes a different pair of eyes, ears, and some different brain cells to
Yeah.
reinterpret the data. So
Yeah. Exactly.
we got, I think, the end of today's Q&A
That's
section.
it.
I
Wow.
think we're good. We're good. It's just like therapy. Our time is up now. At 50 minutes. I think
At
we need a
50
10-minute
minutes,
break
there you
before
go. Just like
just about the
therapy.
50-minute mark. Yeah, we're at 49 minutes in. So at the 50-minute mark, we're going to wrap up
Well,
this session. Anything else you want to say for
I hope it
today?
was good therapy for you today, and
Yes.
you got a
All
lot
right.
out of it, because we enjoy helping you, and that's what we live for, is to help you, guide you, hopefully, and make your life better.
Do your best
Do your best.
to
Yes.
positively digest both the information and changing your habits. So there we go for
You're here.
today. So we will be
You're here.
back next week. Will we be back next week?
We will be back next week.
Okay,
Yes, we will.
I'm just checking. I'm just checking since we missed last week. So we will be back next week at 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Mountain. I don't even bother to say what time it is in Hawaii anymore. But we will be here. If you have any other questions or comments and you want to ask us a few questions, just send us a message either on the Book of Faces or to Monika Coaching for Health, and we will respond to you. In fact, even on Twitter, we respond to messages. So we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Take good
Bye.
care, everyone. Bye.